Imagine standing atop the tallest structure in all of Westeros. Beneath you lies the bustling city of Old Town, the birthplace of knowledge, trade, and faith. At your back rises the Hightower itself, a colossal fortress and lighthouse whose beacon has guided ships for thousands of years. This is the story of House Hightower, one of the oldest, richest, and most mysterious noble families in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Despite their immense influence, they are barely mentioned in HBO's Game of Thrones. So who are they? How powerful are they? And where were they during the War of the Five Kings? Let's begin. Long before the Seven Kingdoms existed, before the Targaryens crossed the Narrow Sea, and perhaps even before the first men arrived in Westeros, there stood a fortress on Battle Isle. Legends claim it was built by an ancient, forgotten civilization using black fused stone unlike anything else in Westeros. No one truly knows who built it. Over that mysterious foundation, House Hightower eventually raised its legendary tower. Over centuries, it grew into the tallest building in the known world, serving as both a mighty fortress and a lighthouse visible for miles across the Sunset Sea. As Old Town flourished into the greatest port in Westeros, House Hightower grew unimaginably wealthy. While other noble houses relied on war and conquest, the Hightowers became powerful through commerce, diplomacy, learning, and religion. Their city became home to the Citadel, where the Maesters are trained, and the Starry September, once the seat of the High Septon before the Faith relocated to King's Landing after the Targaryen conquest. This unique position gave House Hightower influence over three pillars of Westerosi society: wealth, knowledge, and faith. Unlike many ambitious houses, the Hightowers rarely sought the Iron Throne directly. Instead, they mastered a quieter form of power. They built alliances, arranged strategic marriages, and influenced events from the shadows. During the Age of Heroes, the Undul invasion, and countless regional conflicts, House Hightower almost always emerged stronger than before. When Aegon the Conqueror invaded Westeros, Lord Hightower wisely chose diplomacy over destruction. Old Town surrendered peacefully, preserving both its people and its prosperity. From then on, the Hightowers became loyal supporters of the Targaryen dynasty. Their greatest moment in Targaryen history came nearly 2 centuries later. Lady Alicent Hightower married King Viserys I Targaryen and became Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Her children challenged the succession of Princess Rhaenyra, triggering the devastating civil war remembered as the Dance of the Dragons. The conflict shattered the Targaryen dynasty and nearly drove dragons to extinction. Although House Hightower backed the Greens, they survived the war and retained their immense wealth and influence. Over the following centuries, they avoided major rebellions whenever possible. While other great houses exhausted themselves through endless wars, the Hightowers continued expanding Old Town into one of the richest cities in the realm. By the time of Robert's Rebellion, House Hightower remained loyal to the Targaryens until the very end. Sir Gerald Hightower, known as the White Bull, served as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard and died defending Prince Rhaegar's family at the Tower of Joy. His unwavering loyalty became legendary. So where were they during the events of Game of Thrones? Unlike Houses Stark, Lannister, or Tyrell, House Hightower stayed largely in the background. During the War of the Five Kings, Old Town remained under the authority of House Tyrell, the Lords Paramount of the Reach. The Hightowers were among their most powerful bannermen and appear to have remained loyal to Highgarden throughout the conflict. There is no canonical account of House Hightower fielding a major independent army during the war. Instead, they likely contributed forces as part of the Reach's larger military campaigns led by House Tyrell. This relative silence was probably intentional. For an ancient and immensely wealthy family, survival often depends on choosing battles carefully rather than seeking the spotlight. While King's Landing descended into political chaos, Old Town continued to function as the intellectual and commercial heart of Westeros. Ships continued arriving from across the Narrow Sea, Maesters continued their studies at the Citadel, and the Hightowers maintained control over one of the kingdom's most prosperous cities. the family does briefly enter the narrative through Lord Leighton Hightower. According to the books, Lord Leighton had spent many years secluded atop the Hightower with his daughter, Malora, often called the Mad Maid. Rumors spread that they devoted themselves to studying ancient books, prophecies, and magical lore. Whether these stories are true remains unknown. As Euron Greyjoy launched his campaign against the Reach and prepared to threaten Old Town, many readers expected House Hightower to play a much larger role in the unwritten final novels. The television series, however, omitted most of this storyline. As a result, House Hightower never received significant attention on screen during Game of Thrones, despite controlling one of Westeros's most strategically important cities. Old Town itself remained vital throughout the story. It was here that Samwell Tarly trained at the Citadel and uncovered forgotten knowledge about Dragonglass, the White Walkers, and Prince Rhaegar's marriage to Lyanna Stark. Although the Hightowers are barely seen, the city under their protection becomes one of the most important locations in the fight against the Night King. This is perhaps the greatest irony of House Hightower. Once they stood at the very center of Westerosi politics, shaping the fate of kings and dragons alike. Centuries later, they had become quiet guardians of knowledge, commerce, and stability, exercising influence without dominating the political stage. Sometimes history remembers the families who wage wars. Sometimes it remembers those who survive them. House Hightower belongs firmly in the second category. Even today, their future remains one of the biggest unanswered questions in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. With The Winds of Winter still unpublished, readers continue to wonder whether Old Town and House Hightower will once again become central players in the struggle for Westeros. If that happens, one of the oldest houses in the realm may finally step back into the light cast by its own towering beacon. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of House Hightower and want more lore from the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which great house you'd like to explore next.